Welcome to FIAR 432 Video Production, Final Production Options, Module 11B. In this episode, we're going to look at how to put all the ingredients together that you've been working on all semester. This is to produce a final production which will be used instead of a final exam. There is no final exam in this class. Your final exam is your final production. And there will be several options you'll have depending upon what tools you have available and what formats you want to pursue your final production in. Anyway, we'll get started now. For your final production, I am recommending several formats for whichever route you take. On the one hand, you can go through the route of PowerPoint, and PowerPoint is as good an option as any for you to pursue. And if you do pursue that, I want you to consider several factors. Because PowerPoint is more oriented to still pictures than video, I would recommend that you do animatics or possibly animation. A couple of other options would be pixelation and or a profile. Those would be options that I think would work well with PowerPoint, and we're going to look at why and how very shortly. So we'll also talk about the other options now. The next direction you could go would be to use Windows Movie Maker. And I have no problem with Windows Movie Maker. It's an excellent option. It's built into most of your computers. If you have a PC and accessories, basically Windows Movie Maker is included in Windows Works, which is like the most basic part of the operating system. If you do that, I'm recommending several specific formats that would work well, I think, with the simple format of Windows Movie Maker. In the area of Windows Movie Maker, I would recommend that you choose perhaps animation or cinema verite, demonstration, or pixelation or profile. These are things that I think would lend themselves to the short format that I'm recommending, which your production shouldn't be more than 3 to 5 minutes. And these are things that I think are very accessible and possible for you to do in this format. For those of you who do not have PowerPoint in your computer option, and do not have a camera, do not have the ability to incorporate video into any of the formats, I am going to recommend that you do your final production as a storyboard in Windows Word. And basically, in that format, in that configuration, you can use any of the formats in the handout, but remember, you want to keep it simple. Basically, what I'm going to do is show you a format of how you can handle doing storyboards in Word format, but I want you to keep it brief. You can use any of the formats recommended in the handouts on formats, but keep it brief. We want the story not to be longer than 3 to 5 minutes, and the storyboard should follow the same. Again, the rationale for choosing one of these is based upon your available tools. To do the PowerPoint, you have to have PowerPoint. You need to have JPEGs if you're going to be doing animatics. You need to have clips if you're going to be doing either animation or one of the other things I recommended. You may need to have a camera and a FireWire if you want to incorporate video into your PowerPoint. But I'm going to show you some techniques to use if all you're using is PowerPoint. If you go for the Windows Movie Maker, you should have clips available for you and or have a camera and FireWire. This was covered in a previous module, and if you need to go over that, or if you need any modules sent to you again, please contact me either by email or call me to tell me which format, which of the modules, excuse me, that you need in order to remind you of what you need to do to complete your project. And of course, for the people who have to do only storyboards in Word, it's because you don't have PowerPoint, but you do have Word. You're going to have JPEGs of some sort, have internet to get JPEGs for your storyboard, or I'm going to show you, I'm going to be sending you an email with a Word document containing a number of JPEGs that you can use in your project. I'm going to show you that next. Only a few of my distance learning students don't have PowerPoint or cameras or whatever available, and that's fine. That's not a problem. What I've done is I've prepared a little kit that you can put together some form of storyboard with pictures and words and script, and of course you're going to basically tell a story with your storyboard. And remember to use the techniques of the kinds of shots. You will basically write in what kind of motion or action is going to take place so that the story gets told. What I've done is put together a kit which you can see here. Let me make myself disappear, and I'm going to show you some of these images close up. This is useful for everyone though, not just for those who are just going to do PowerPoint. Essentially, in this kit, I have provided a whole variety of images to use that can be pieced together. Each one of those little frames that you see there is actually a separate image that can be pasted onto a Word document. Here are some more frames, and here we even have smaller images that can be put inside of boxes to act as graphics in your storyboard. And then here is a template showing you how it's going to look, where you're going to put your script, and so forth. Basically, you have areas for your script. This is how you're going to stack your images. You're going to give it a title. Also, in the previous episode, I showed you in modules 5 and 6 storyboard examples. This is how it looked in PowerPoint, but essentially I want you to do something similar to this in Word. It doesn't have to be laid out in the horizontal fashion. It can be laid out in the vertical version, which is easier to deal with in Word. But I do want a graphic and then script next to it, the graphic being the storyboard part, the script being the script portion of the video production that you're simulating in your final production. And also in the beginning and the end, I want you to follow what we had talked about. I want you to put your name, your name of your production company, produced and directed by, and so forth. Let me cut to a close. I'm going to be showing you the same thing in each of the formats. I'm going to want your name production with all rights reserved, produced and directed by your name, and your video production title, and then of course your storyboard. Or of course, when we get into the other productions, the other formats that will be used, whether Windows Movie Maker or PowerPoint, this will also be the pattern that I want you to follow in the beginning, having titles and credits in the beginning and titles and credits in the end. And we're going to look at it in PowerPoint now. For those of you who are doing your production in your final production in PowerPoint, I'm going to want you to do the same thing I was mentioning for the storyboard group in Word. I want you to have a production company name, a produced and directed by your name slide or title, and then your actual title of your production in the beginning. And I'm going to show you an example that I produced here. I'm going to make myself disappear, and here we go. This starts with a background, and this is going to be the production company. So in this case, it's a Labyrinth production company, and then all rights reserved, 2009. Here's the produced and directed slide with the name of the person, Jane Doe, Richard Roe, and now the title shot. After that, I want you to go to black, and then I want you to start your production, and then in the end, I want you to reverse it. You'll have your title, your produced, directed by, and finally your production company name, whatever it is. It can be fictitious, it doesn't matter. But basically, this is what I want you to be able to do. This is the format we're using. You could call it bookends. It begins in one pattern and then reverses it in the end. But it basically establishes that it's yours. When you do that, all rights reserved, you are basically reserving it for yourself copyright-wise, which means that you then own this particular production and have the rights to how you want it used. So if somebody came along and stole your idea, we would have a date on it. And of course, your production will have a digital time and date stamp on it in your computer. And of course, when it's submitted to me, which means that it will be, I will have proof that it is yours. So if somebody tries to steal your ideas, we will actually have proof that it is yours. So anyway, now I'm going to show you the Windows Movie Maker version of this. You should remember that I discussed Windows Movie Maker, particularly when I demonstrated the FireWire. What I did here is I imported some clips from my database that I had in my computer, and I pieced them together in the little storyboard you see down at the bottom. But what I wanted to show you is that if you do the Windows Movie Maker format, I want you to follow a couple of key things. I want you to remember that after you've imported your clips and put them into your storyboard, I want you to make titles and credits. When you do that, when you click that, it then comes up with a menu of things to do, like put titles at the beginning and the end. I showed you in the previous episode how you can copy and paste those and put them at the end, or you can do credits at the end. If you see that here, this is the credits at the end prompt on this. And essentially, you can see in the little storyboard, and I'll make myself disappear for a second, I put these elements there, the same thing I mentioned to you where I wanted your production company, produced and directed by, and the title of your production. And at the end, I went and did the end credit there. Now what I did is I just stuck some clips together kind of roughly, so I'm going to let you see that in just a second. Let me show you now what it looks like. Okay, this is just to show you what the credits look like. I'm going to go ahead and play it. Here's the production company, then the produced and directed by, then the title. And then I threw in a couple of rough clips just to kind of show you what a show would look like, an animation.
5, 6. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay.
As I say, this is just a bunch of clips, and here's the final credit at the end. This time it's scrolling, so that's basically what I want you to do for your final production. Addressing those who are specifically going to do PowerPoint, what I wanted to kind of revisit, I think we discussed it a bit when we did a couple of earlier episodes, a couple of earlier modules, was the idea that PowerPoint evolved out of video production. And there are some basic custom animations that you can do that will simulate the movements of cameras, like panning, tilting, zooming, all those motions that we discussed early on in the class. And what I want to focus on now is showing you precisely how you can do some of these kinds of things in PowerPoint so that you can do some very attractive animatics and animations and other kinds of moving visual images, using still images moving, or actually using moving images, moving them in special ways that are appropriate for the way you want to tell your story. So let's take a look at some of these now. What I have here is a PowerPoint slide that I inserted this graphic on of this bicycler moving. Now, what you do is if you frame the bicycle picture or something like this larger than the frame of the PowerPoint slide, you can actually move that slide, move that image across that frame. And let me show you what that looks like. When I activate this slide, watch what happens to this still image. Okay, I'll do that again. Essentially, the still image looks like it's moving. And now I'll escape, and I'm going to show you what I did to achieve that. If you look at the PowerPoint layout, basically what I did is I oversized the picture, but left enough of the area where the movement could take place. If you look at the way the cursor is moving here. And I did basically a custom animation on this entire image. And the way that I achieved it, this was the custom animation. You can access it by doing it. In this case, I'll be changing it. But if you see the little sub-menu that comes down, there is one that says Motion Paths. And what I did is I did the motion path from the left to the right. If you click on that, it will allow you to do it. So in the case of the image here, this is the one that I did. This is what I used. And you can see how the image moves when I do that, okay? Essentially, let me do it again. Essentially, the image moves across as though a camera were panning. And this is what I'm telling you. You can use these various motions to achieve these kinds of effects. Now, that was a pan to the right. We could do a pan to the left, and I'm going to show you that. On the screen here, you can see an arrow in the middle of the image here. That's the symbol that I had taken that motion path custom animation and superimposed it over this image here, which we're going to look at, and I'm going to show you now what it looks like when I activate it. Here you see the scene, and when I activate the slide, it is now going to pan to the right this time, or to the left actually. It's kind of confusing because the image moves the opposite way to where you pan. So watch again. This is as though I'm moving a camera. I'm actually just moving the JPEG that I had loaded to the slide, and it creates the effect of panning the scene. And because it's hard to see all the water details, you could actually look like you're shooting out in this actual nature scene. So this is an example of panning a still slide so that you can do very attractive animatics in your PowerPoints. In this next scene, you can see an arrow superimposed over this primate's face. This is an image that I got from the clip arts. And of course, you can go on the internet and get thousands and thousands of different pictures. But you'll see that the arrow is now pointing up because I chose the up prompt from that motion path of the custom animation. And now I'm going to show you what it looks like when I activate it. Okay, now what you're going to see is essentially the equivalent of a tilt up using a still graphic that has been custom animated through PowerPoint. Here's a tilt up like you would do with your camera. Actually, it'd be a tilt down. It's rather confusing because the camera goes down and the image goes up. So again, this is a tilt down, which produces this movement, which looks almost as though you're staring this animal straight in the face in a moving situation. In this next graphic, you're going to see the actual tilt up this time. I think this is the tilt up. This time it's a planet floating around, a moon floating around one of the planets, and that's a tilt up. Okay, again, it's done the same thing. You do a custom animation, and I'll make myself disappear. And it looks like you're moving or panning this moon that's around this planet. Again, this is a nice way to do animatics, to take a still JPEG that I downloaded from the internet and created this motion. And of course, if you do sequences of these, it can be very dramatic. And of course, if you add sound, which I want you to do, this can be very entertaining, sound, music, and so forth. All of that is available to you from that insert music, insert sound toolbar in your PowerPoint. If you have any questions, you can always contact me if you're having problems with that. You've just seen examples of how to pan and tilt using the custom animations to move JPEGs in PowerPoint. I'm now going to show you how to do a zoom in using the grow and shrink, which is also in one of those custom animation menus. It's in the emphasis menu, sub-menu, and I'll show it to you now. Essentially, this is the graphic. I'm now going to activate it, and this will simulate a zoom in. There's also a counterpart to all these motions. If you look in it, there's an exit prompt that shows you how to do the opposite. But this would be the equivalent of a zoom in using the grow and shrink custom animation. So now we've seen pan, tilt, and zoom motions being simulated through PowerPoint. And this is a very attractive way to achieve the end that you want of creating a very interesting and moving kind of storytelling. And of course, you know how to insert audio. I showed you how to use your headsets to do that. If you have any questions or need any advice on that, please contact me. I will remind you and help you again in the inserting of sound and or music in your PowerPoint. One of the great things about the internet is that there are a lot of free resources out there that you can use. Things like Wikipedia and a number of other entities provide free graphics and also free animations. And if you want to take some of these animations, I would appreciate you putting them in the credits if you could. But if I make myself disappear here, I'm going to show you, for instance, this is a geometrical study here of the platonic solids. In here you will see that they've provided a variety of animations. Now all you have to do is essentially click on these animations, and you can then also do a right click, and let me make myself disappear, and copy it. And when you copy it, you can then paste it to a PowerPoint to get what you want to do. And we'll go back to PowerPoint, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now what I did here is I pasted that to a blank slide in PowerPoint. And here you can see it in the PowerPoint setup there. And I basically mixed it with a couple of other animations, and let me show you that. What I did is I took those graphics and I had them fade in and then fade out and then fade in and then fade out. Essentially, it fades in here, I have it fade out there, fade in here, fade out there. And this is what it looks like. And here you can see it in the PowerPoint setup there. And I basically mix when I take that slide and I activate it. So now we have the motion, and it's going to disappear, and now another object appears. And so now I've basically done a transition of animations using those fades. And these are animations that you have available to you for free. PowerPoint provides a lot of them. Free services like Wikipedia and other entities offer such things, and essentially this makes it possible to do some very attractive kinds of animations if you wanted to describe objects for various reasons. If you wanted to do just studies of motion or studies of objects or whatever, this is a good way to do it. Another exciting thing you can do is what's called a montage. And you can do this all in one slide. What you do is basically take a number of pictures and fade them in on top of each other. And what you do here, I'll show you over here, I went into the entrance menu and then I pulled up the fade command and I applied fade to it. Then then I put another image on it and had it fade on top of that and on top of that. And basically the list of fades of pictures I borrowed from some of my ID pictures, and I think these are some good examples here. Basically I stacked a number of still images on top of each other, and this is what it looks like when it is played back. Here we have a montage of student still images floating on top of each other in a rapid succession, almost doing what's called morphing, where it looks like it's growing from one image to another. It almost morphs before your eyes. And that's all in one slide. I took 10 different pictures and merged them onto this one slide. And this is an exciting way to present a number of images all at once. This is another technique you can use in your animatics. Using a somewhat similar concept, you can stack still images on top of each other and have them fade in and fade out to create animation effects. And I'm going to show you what I did in this case right here. This is simulating a sport move. Now I'm going to activate this so you can see it in action. Here we have a series of silhouette-like images moving and fading in and out. Then what looks like a ball moving rapidly, and implicitly a goal. And there's the referee signaling the goal, and he disappears. And essentially what I did is I basically just stacked these things right on top of each other, and I did them in a series of custom animations where I had them fade in and fade out, enter and exit, and you could see them all stacked on top of each other, but you of course saw them in a sequence which I'll activate again. So you see them all stacked together, one right on top of the other. Each one's going to reveal itself one at a time, and here we go. So again, one was just stacked on top of the other and animated slowly in a sequence. You see the motions of the players, the ball getting larger and larger using the grow and shrink, and then the goalie growing and shrinking, and essentially this created an animation effect as well. So this is a fun way to, I think, take a series of images and animate them. And of course, as I said, if you're going to do a PowerPoint, I want you to do either animatics or animation. You can also pixelate images like this, and there are pixelations available, which I showed you earlier in an earlier module. You could take sequences of those already pixelated things and put them together in some kind of a PowerPoint study for your final production. And just to show you that I'm consistent in what I'm asking, this is the end of this module, and you can see this is my title for the end, Module 11B, Final Production Options. The next slide that I go to is the, make myself disappear, is my Produced and Directed By slide. Now I don't end it in a production company because this is a distance learning production, and so I do have all rights reserved here, and in this one I give you the instructions on how to reply and send back your responses to some of the items that I will have attached to the email. Anyway, this ends Module 11B, your final production options. The next the next module you'll get will be a questionnaire, which I require that you finish. Good luck. Call me if you need help, or email me if you need help in your final production.